And with me now, Ambassador Michael McFaul, former U.S. ambassador to Russia and an MSNBC international affairs analyst, and Robert Anderson, former executive assistant director for the FBI. Thank you both for being with us. And Ambassador, let me start with you. And I guess I'm just curious, first of all, what do you think over in Moscow right now? Putin, leaders in the Russian government, just watching. It's the middle of April of 2019, and here's the United States. The entire political system right now is consumed by dissecting the Mueller report about what Russia, at its heart, about Russia's role in our 2016 campaign. What is the reaction to that? How is that received and regarded, do you think, among Putin and his inner circle?
Well, a couple of years ago, they were disappointed that President Trump didn't engage with them on concessions, things that he had talked about during the 2016 presidential election that they thought were coming after he would win. And on the top of that list was sanctions relief. But over time, they're content to watch this. They, of course, denied they had nothing to do with it. The President of the United States has never criticized them, and it's great that the Secretary of State does. But when the President of the United States chooses not to do so, that's a signal to Moscow. And more generally, they like the fact that we're polarized, divided, fighting amongst ourselves, and not engaging in the world. That's a win for Putin.
And so, Michael, what in terms of the preparation for 2020 in this country to prevent Russia from doing anything like it did in 2016. Where does that stand right now?
Well, that's always to me, right? I would say a couple of things. One is I want to emphasize the Mueller report is not like the 9/11 commission that we had after September 11th. Its scope was more limited, and there are some aspects of the campaign that Russia did against us that are not even treated there. Say what Russia Today did, what Sputnik did. We still know very little about what they did on our electoral infrastructure. I think there's only 2 paragraphs in there. And I still want to know more about the money. We still know very little about that. Number 2, they didn't scrutinize what the Obama administration did and did not do. I think that's what we did after September 11th. We haven't done that. And as you said, there's no prescriptions in the report at all. And that, I think, we now need to pivot hard to that. What do we need to do in 2020? And to me, there are 3 big buckets. One, how do we deal with the media part, social media as well as broadcast media from Russia? 2, enhance cybersecurity. And then 3, just norms, if they're not laws, about transparency, about contacts with foreign governments, including business relationships that presidential candidates might have with foreign governments. I think the American people should have the knowledge that these things are happening during the campaign, not just after it.
Yeah, and Bob, I guess it raises the question, too, how policeable is some of this? The idea there, the question of social media. We've looked at all these things that landed on Facebook or somehow got through on the internet. We kind of live in a world where, at a certain level, some of that can't be stopped, can it?
Well, it's tough. I think it's a great question, but I think there needs to be a better private sector, government sector bonding when it comes to the national security of the United States. I mean, you both hit on really good points. And I can tell you, Russia is like the angry kid on a playground. They're not going to stop doing what they're doing without severe repercussions from the United States. The GRU, the SVR, and the FSB, which is their military intelligence, CIA equivalent, and FBI equivalent, I can guarantee you are already making plans, if they already haven't enacted them, to target our political infrastructure again in 2020. And I think, as the ambassador brought up a little earlier, I really think we need to be focusing on that. And not just the people that are in power, but anybody that's going to currently be running for the President of the United States.
In terms of relations going forward, Ambassador, this administration in Russia, you mentioned this too, the idea that there is a bit of, I think you would use the term this week, a bit of a paradox between some of the official administration actions the last couple of years and certainly the public posture of this president towards Putin. Where does it go from here?
I hope it doesn't go anywhere. I think the Trump administration has a pretty sound policy towards Russia. I think there's a lot of continuity, in fact, with the Obama administration, and they don't like it when I say that, and Obama folks don't like when I say that. But pushing back on Russia, sanctioning Russia, building up NATO, and supporting Ukraine, those are the three pillars. Those should move forward. The problem, of course, is that there's one person in the Trump administration that doesn't always agree with that policy, and he happens to be the president. And what I don't know is, now that this investigation is done, will that somehow embolden President Trump to say, I got this now, I'm going to reach out to do what I've always wanted to do with Vladimir Putin. And that's what they've been hoping for. In the Kremlin, if you look at the press, they've been hoping for this moment to try one more time to bond with the president. And that's why they don't want him with his advisors, right? They don't want note takers because they think they can pull him in their direction. I hope it doesn't happen, but we should watch to see if they try to do so.
Yeah, and Bob, just in terms of, you mentioned all the candidates running, we got, 28 of them or whatever on the Democratic side right now. It seems like, what would you like to see their campaigns doing?
Well, I think one of the things, and I mean, it doesn't surprise me or anybody that's worked in the United States intelligence community against our adversaries when it comes to counterintelligence, espionage, or political influence like Russia's tried to do. One of the things is education. People need to understand, and I think there was a lull in this in the Trump administration, at least when he was running and then when he first got into office, that a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is real. And the techniques that Russia, China, and other nation states are going to use to try to acquire information against their political candidates is very sophisticated. And I think they need to be educated about how they're going to attack them, because I guarantee you they will. Look, the Russian intelligence services, its number one, number two, and number three priority is the United States. And I don't think that anybody can say it any better than that. And I think we need to look at making sure our candidates and the offices that people hold now are secure the best way we can.
All right. Well, Bob Anderson and Michael McFaul, Ambassador McFaul, thank you both for joining us.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.